Hello and welcome to FilmDirt. I've just re-watched American Made, starring Tom Cruise as Barry Seal, directed by Doug Liman, and this is a very interesting film that's based on a true story about Barry Seal, who was a drug runner pilot for both the CIA and various drug cartels like Pablo Escobar. So, like I said, very interesting film. It is a topic that interested me. I remember around the time I left school, I started hearing about very intriguing names like Pablo Escobar, and it made us kids really want to, delve a little bit deeper and find out what all that drug running, all that dangerous stuff was all about. So all these names are fairly familiar to me from the books I read back then. And it's nice to see this story put to film, albeit I'm assuming that it's a much lighter version than what actually happened. It says it's based on a true story, so, they've had to be a little bit forgiving and abbreviate certain parts. But I think it's fine for a story like this because I think the lines were blurred slightly for real. Because you've got Barry starting as a TWA pilot, and then he's somehow recruited by the CIA to do this off-the-record job, or kind of off-the-record. I didn't quite get how he was the one that was chosen. When you think of Tom Cruise, you think of a certain character. It's the big smile and the charisma. So if Barry Seal is anything like Tom Cruise, this is possibly perfect casting, and why not select a Tom Cruise type character to be able to go into dangerous situations and have the charisma and the smart talking to be able to get yourself out of any situation as dangerous as this. So for mid-80s, I think it was 1985, the film does definitely look the part. It does really sell that time period, especially in the intros with the retro logos and a lot of the clothing and hairstyles. There's also what looks like an Instagram type retro filter, which looks a little bit distracting. A lot of it is lurid green and it does pop a bit too much on my Blu-ray. I did see some of the pre-release materials and the trailers, and the filter never looked as harsh as this, so they've done something in post here. I'm not a fan of it. But that doesn't take much away from the film. It does move along fairly quickly, so you're just in it for the ride, and that's why I think it seems so unbelievable. You've got the CIA directing this plan where he's supposed to get photos, but he's also doing what the communist bodies want anyway by actually drug running. So the lines are blurred here over what he's doing. Is it wrong and being just as bad? We've established that the CIA may not be acting completely legally, and it could be off the record, and also dealing with these various cartels. It does make Barry a lot of money, and there's a funny scene where he's got so much cash he doesn't know where to put it because he can't deposit it into a bank. He's just got to stuff it anywhere. But then I was thinking what the books really covered, and that was, is it all really his? Because he's working for the CIA, and all the tools he's got to do the job really belong to the CIA still, which includes the plane and the properties. So you can see this may not end as Barry wanted it to end, and it's affecting his family as well because he had to move home, and it all starts to get a bit messy. And I was along for the ride. It's a perfectly decent film, and Doug Liman does keep it moving very quickly. The second half of the movie does get quite tense. There's a few instances here where he's kind of just getting away with it, and we're thinking he may get his comeuppance at any moment. So those are the exciting parts. And also really like the scene later where I think he's got every American law agency on his tail all at the same time. And then more lines are blurred because, whose jurisdiction is it? And we're again exploring whether any of this is legal, which is why he then gets released. So that was quite funny. A lot of this film is really humorous. So I have to also add Domhnall Gleeson's character. He's excellent here. He's British, but his American accent is absolutely perfect. I know he's done quite a bit of work, and I've mainly associated him to the Star Wars sequels. I wasn't a fan of his character, where I think he was hamming it up and being really overly theatrical, a little bit too much. But here, this is his showreel film, I think. And a lot of the other cast are all fantastic as well. For me, I thought we were actually in the places they were depicting, because the acting was so good. During all of these standoffs and the tense moments, made those moments really tense. And they're all the highlight of the film. So what score should we give this? I'll give it 4 stars. Even though it was overall a lighter movie, I think, well, much lighter than I saw depicted in the various books I've read, the tense moments and the acting were really a pleasure to watch. So thanks a lot for joining me for this review, and be sure to join me again by subbing this channel. And before I sign out, I'll leave you with a little bit about myself. I'm a completely unbiased reviewer. I don't accept any deals or free tickets from any of the studios. I don't want to get involved in all that. Some other reviewers are inclined to give false positives, and I want to watch what I want to watch and talk about them honestly with you guys. So pleasure to talk to you, and I'll speak to you again for another review. All the best, take care.